My name is Walter Contreras, CEO of Motiva. I'm here with my friend Andy Weisberg, who is an expert on compliance and cybersecurity. So, Andy, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
You know, I've been working with a lot of insurance brokers lately, and as you know, my history with insurance agencies and financial institutions, and I wanted to make a video to specifically address the questions on the cybersecurity New York law that came out this year. And so, you know, lots of confusion, I'm sure you know.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to clarify a few things. Is that okay?
Ahead.
Sure. So the first thing is, like, what is this DFS law?
Okay. It's actually a regulation. What they are trying to do is make sure that the insurance brokers are protecting the personal information, PII, personal identifiable information. You have driver's license numbers. You have a plethora of information.
Right.
They want you to protect that information because it's very easy to hack.
So what do you think New York did at first? Like, why New York?
Well, New York has got one of the strongest insurance departments in the country. And in fact, the New York law is being used as an example by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners as the model for
So it might come to other states.
It's absolutely going to come to the other states, probably in 2018.
Wow, that's incredible. You know, that's great information. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, you know, I'm exempt. Who are these agencies that are exempt from this law, and what are those?
The exemptions are if you have under 10 employees, including sub-producers. Now, a lot of times people don't realize that they're sub-producers. They're independent sub-producers that place business with them that they co-broker with.
Sure. So it's combined.
Are part of those 10 people, 10 or more people.
Okay.
So many agencies run with a number of sub-producers and don't realize, even though they're technically not employees by IRS standards, under the insurance regulation, they are. Additionally, if you're doing under $5 million a year in premium, that's not either, it's either or. It's not combined.
Right.
Or $10 million worth of assets. But understand, just because you may be in the exemption under the New York State Reg 500 for the New York State Department of Finance doesn't mean you're exempt from protecting that information because of some other regulations, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Wow, that's crazy. You know, we've been talking about forever, you and I, on the best efforts at protecting data. Correct. What are some of the things? I know the law requires you to assign a security officer. What does that mean a little bit?
Somebody in your organization on a senior level is responsible. Somebody's going to have to sign that affidavit that's at the back of this rule and submit it every year. That's
the law, right? You have to submit that.
You have to submit that on February 15th. The first one is February 15th, 2018. Now, understand something. That becomes a legal document.
Sure.
That means that if you're lying when you sign that document, you are subject to prosecution. And especially if you're an insurance person and you have a license, the last thing you want to do is be in violation of the law.
Now, the law talks about you must have a risk assessment. I guess everything starts with the risk assessment. Lots of these brokers, agencies never even have one.
The risk assessment becomes the roadmap. What do you have? What don't you have?
You know, and you and I talk extensively about this, and you know I do a lot of lectures in Columbia University on cybersecurity. When we talked about these policies and procedures, I've never really seen a small business have these completely done. And I guess the reason is because they don't have a portal like the one we have set up for them to create them easily, right? So can you tell me a little bit about once you've complete the process, what do you have to do to be compliant? You have to submit the affidavit.
You have to submit the affidavit. Yes, the affidavit is an annual affidavit.
So what would you tell our viewers today that they should be doing to start the process and not to be afraid of what can come from this?
The first thing they really need to do is to get a third party to come in and do a risk assessment. The risk assessment is the whole key to becoming compliant.
You know, that is an interesting point you're making, because on my visiting all these business owners, I see some of these newcomers coming up with basically a questionnaire, right? Asking a few questions and passing the questionnaire back to the client and saying, here's the things you have to do. When I do a risk assessment, right, when Motiva does a risk assessment, and by the way, we do it for free for clients. And one of the things we focus on is, what are we going to do after we do the risk assessment? And
you do the technical risk assessment extremely well. And
thank you.
That's important. So why not use a professional to do this for you?
Right. And it's not expensive. So Andy, what can you tell our viewers today as a sign off on what they should do going forward?
You're going to have to demonstrate that you made a good faith effort to be in compliance.
Andy, I can't thank you enough.
My pleasure.
And for our viewers out there, I really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate
My pleasure.